You can see that okay?
Yep, looks great.
All right, thank you. So, hi everyone, I am so excited to tell you about my junior venture project, which is called Young Best Selves, or YBS for short. And this is something that I really put a lot of time and love into throughout the past few months. So it really does mean a lot to me to be able to share it with you all. So here's just a brief overview about what I'm going to be covering. So my process from the idea and inspiration to all the steps that I've taken to get to where I am today. And then I'll show you a little video of the final product of the website and app that I was able to create. Then I'll get into the skills that I developed, both practically and in terms of leadership, as well as some of the challenges I faced, and of course, the conclusion. So, getting right into it, I'm actually going to start this story a little bit before the venture even began. So, last summer, I felt the desire to start an independent passion project because I really wanted to bridge the gap between something that I truly cared about and addressing a current need that I saw around me. So I started by writing down my passions, and health and wellness ended up being the very first thing on that list. I have always been a health and wellness kind of enthusiast. Like, I was the one encouraging my parents to eat healthier, like not the other way around, and like always, engaging in exercise and being really aware of how I take care of myself and finding ways to keep track of that work for me. And health and wellness has also been especially pertinent in my life recently, with a lot of family members getting sick and like mental health awareness being so needed around me by like friends and teenagers kind of as a whole. So I wanted to make it easier for other teens to find the same joy in health and wellness that I do and have the motivation to make it a priority. Because I know we're all so busy inevitably wherever we are in life, but I really do believe that it's worth it to emphasize health and wellness and just give it that time. So I brainstormed for a while, and I looked into different like statistics based on health and wellness and motivation, like what people needed to really make that the priority in their lives. And I also looked at what resources were already available. And eventually I had this vision. So I wanted to create a resource that was geared specifically toward youth and young adults, but available for all ages. And I wanted it to have really three main parts. So the first part was a habit tracker, which would have like pre-made plans that people could choose from based on like how many habits they wanted to do, how often they wanted to do them, and then it would give them reminders to complete them as they go on. And then the second part, which is really my like favorite part and like the main kind of part of this website, was the virtual community where people could motivate each other, share tips or progress, and really celebrate accomplishments and just overall hold each other accountable to make this more enjoyable. Because I feel like when other people are part of it too, that's when you're actually going to want to do it and actually keep doing it. So that was my kind of thinking behind that. And then the third part is just additional resources, so blog posts that I would write of like tips, inspiration, and then connections to other resources that they could check out, like other websites, apps, YouTube channels, etc. So with this in mind, Young Best Selves was born. And as you can see, we have the slogan here that we bring our we bring our real selves and become our best selves, because I really wanted it to be an authentic space where we could better ourselves together. So in order to accomplish this, my first step was to research more. So I looked into what platform I could use because I did not know how to make an app or start a website. I tried coding at first with my very limited coding knowledge, and that did not really work out too well for me. So I ended up going into Wix instead, and that worked really well for my purposes. So I designed everything that summer and had a complete website draft by the end of it, like when school was starting. And at this point, I got stuck. I didn't really know what to do from there or how to continue. So I kind of just put the website on pause until the venture started. And thank goodness we had this venture because it was so helpful. And I started out by finding my amazing mentor, Mrs. Morris, and the Associate Director of Communications at Stuart. And she helped me really regain my momentum. So from December onward, I worked on editing and improving the site draft that I already had by improving the image choices, the layouts, specific features like the habit tracker. I added a lot of features to that, like questions when you're getting started and check-ins along the way, and like little badges as kind of an incentive to finish. And then she also helped me with the logistics of the site, like creating a privacy policy and community guidelines, things like that. So by February, I was ready to launch an Instagram account to kind of start promoting the website, getting the word out there, and let people know what this was really all about. And then by March, I was ready for the launch. So it was a two-part launch. So my friends and family helped me out with the soft launch, and they kind of gave me feedback, tried it out for a little while before it was ready for the actual launch during spring break when I made the website available to everyone. And then now I just have a quick video, like I said before, where you can see a little overview of both the app and the website. Load. So hopefully that worked with like all the sound and everything. But now I'll just get into some of the more practical skills that I developed during this process. So probably the most obvious one would be web design. So I learned how to cater to a specific audience, so youth in my case. And for instance, the current homepage that you just saw with the slideshow looks very different from when I first started out. And I like it so much better now because it really does reflect the young people that this platform is for and how health and wellness comes in many different forms. I also learned how to make a logo, which went through a lot of drafts to get the font and the style just right. And also I had to kind of learn how to stay consistent with a theme for my brand. So I knew from the beginning exactly kind of what I was going for in terms of the color and the style. And so I just had to apply this throughout the site as well as to all the Instagram posts. And speaking of which, that leads me to my next skill, which was marketing. So I learned with Mrs. Morris's help how to grow an Instagram account specifically for promoting this brand by engaging with other accounts that were similar and using hashtags and things like that. And then in terms of spreading the word for the website, I learned about search engine optimization or SEO. So I created keywords for my site to help it appear higher with Google searches. And again, this is something that I knew nothing about before going into this. So this is all new to me. And Mrs. Morris also taught me some other marketing strategies like getting testimonials and making shout outs to use in the future. So I have a lot of things to bring with me moving forward. And then I also learned about how to understand analytics. So things like determining which posts were the most popular on Instagram or on which parts of the site people spend their most time. And this helped me to gain insight into what teenagers really want and in turn be able to produce more content of this type. And now for the leadership skills that I developed, the first one and probably the biggest one would be patience, because as someone who pays a lot of attention to detail, and this project had so many parts to develop, so therefore so many details to pay attention to, it took months of tweaking and adding and trying new options, which required a lot of patience. But it was so worth it in the end because I was able to create something of which I'm extremely proud. And the second leadership skill would be how to welcome and incorporate feedback, because I did get a lot of feedback over the course of this process from, especially from my parents, but also from my friends, relatives, teachers, and just everyone around me that really was involved and helped me out, because I knew that they all wanted to help me make this site the best that it could be. So I tried as much as I could to incorporate their suggestions. And then lastly would be confidence, because I needed this to advertise and reach out in different forms to other people who could help me. So for example, I told my uncle, who's a businessman, all about Young Best Selves, and he had so much knowledge that he was willing to share with me. And I also did different forms of advertising, like a morning meeting presentation to the upper school, which was definitely out of my comfort zone, but people loved it, and the site got new signups too, so that was a success. And I even gave a presentation at a teen mental health organization that I'm part of and handed out like these promotional QR codes, which was just another creative way to kind of get the word out there and make this project known. So I really did push this out into like all different areas of my life, let like everyone know about it. This is what I'm doing. You should really check it out. And then now for some of the challenges that I faced. So while I have had a lot of people tell me that they really like Young with Selves, sometimes it has been a challenge to get interest from other people. So for example, just kind of to illustrate this, I sent a message about Young with Selves in a big group chat that I was in with like over 300 other students that I had met earlier this year. And a lot of people liked it. They're like, oh, this is really cool. And then one person signed up. I was like, okay, I'll take that, I guess, out of the 300. But so that just taught me how to give people more specific and varied ways to support the effort. And in terms of whether or not I've reached my goal, so we were asked to determine our personal definition of success for this junior mentor project at the very beginning. So when Mrs. Malecki asked me this question, I responded by saying that I was not so much concerned with the numbers, like how many views or signups that the website got, but more about being interested in genuinely helping people with their health and wellness. So I said that I would rather have just a handful of people using the site and actually benefiting from it than hundreds of people who signed up but never opened it again. So in that sense, that one person from that group chat that did sign up was still a success. So I'm still working on further reaching this goal by getting more consistent use on the website, because I do believe that a lively community is what is really going to make this platform helpful. So I'm working to make this feel more like a safe space and be more user-friendly as well, which is just an ongoing effort of constantly trying to improve and see what I can do to make this better. And so as I mentioned specific ways to support, here are a few of them. So since this is a project that I'm going to be continuing into the future, your support would still be greatly appreciated going into that. So if you haven't already, you can check out the website or app by scanning the QR code or using the link. You can also follow the Instagram at Young Best Selves and just spread the word to anyone that you think might be interested or might benefit from using this site or app. And then I just want to conclude by giving a special thank you to my mentor, Mrs. Morris, because she really did bring so much enthusiasm and excitement to this project from the very beginning when I first asked her if she'd be interested in being a part of it. And her advice and guidance throughout the whole process were just priceless. And in fact, Young Best Selves would not be what it is today without her. So I just can't thank her enough. And then those are just from the images. And thank you so much for listening. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'm happy to answer them. Or if you want to see anything in particular from the site in more detail, I can show you that. But really, whatever you would like to know, just let me know. And thank you.
Angela, that was fantastic, particularly the video that you showed of everything that was going on. I'll pause for a minute. I have questions of my own, but do any of you that are listening have questions? Well, as we're talking, if you do, go ahead, Ms. Nelson.
Hi, how are you? So Angela, that was amazing. And it makes me think about at the end of our year last year for English class, you took on a really cool creative project of a podcast that was around mental health issues. And so I was just curious if you had plans, maybe, this was a huge undertaking, but maybe in the future of growing something like a podcast into your, into your website for Young Best Selves. And if so, what that would look like, or if you see a connection yourself between those two projects.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. I haven't actually thought about that, connecting the two, but I feel like it definitely could work, and it would be really fun to do too. It just would be definitely a lot to undertake, like you said, but I think it would definitely work because they could connect the two of them. If we could have like teenagers on the site, or really anyone that, and we could just have conversations around health and wellness in general. I would definitely be open to that in the future, because I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, you were just so skillful as an interviewer, and I can see all of those skills really manifesting in how you seem to be interacting with folks coming to your site. Like, really, you're just an excellent listener. So something to think about. But, oh, wow, brava. This is amazing.
Thank you.
So if you have other questions, just either raise your hand or pop something in the chat or just unmute. Angela, one of the questions that I have for you, it's funny because it's a similar question to Selena had presented before, and she spent a lot of the time talking about the business of her jewelry company. And I feel like you spent a lot of time talking about like the technical aspect of building this website, and that was the project, right? Was building the website. But can you talk a little bit about the research that you did for the content? How did you know what to put on a health and wellness website, and what kind of research or support did you get in that content area beyond just sort of the technical and social media supports that you got?
Sure. So in the very beginning, before I even did really anything, as I was saying, I was researching the statistics on like what people really needed to make habits stick, and like really, I don't know, continue something that they start. And I found that a lot of it is about accountability. So if you have someone that's going to be there for you, and you're going to tell someone, okay, I'm going to try to meet this goal. If someone else knows that you're going to be doing that, you're like much more likely of actually succeeding with that goal. And even more so if you commit to like continuing, or like letting them know about your progress as you go. So I kind of built around that idea. And when I was thinking of the whole like community part of this, so that's really how the community part was built in. And then in terms of content for the like resources page, I really used a lot of things that I had like from myself, from my health and wellness experience, I guess you can call it. So like, because I have a post on ideas if people don't know what habit they might want to work on. So I just used mental health, physical health, and emotional health, and divided it into those categories, and just used things from my own life that I've tried, as well as like researched different platforms and other resources that I've used, and used those as inspiration.
So then my kind of follow-up to that is, first of all, you learned a lot through this opportunity, which is that's the goal is to have students have this drive, and you had the drive even before the project requirements were out. But then, as you said, this kind of gives you a deadline, right? When are you gonna produce something? Do you feel like this project changed or evolved your interest? I guess my point is, is this about health and wellness, and is that the direction and support that you're looking at maybe in the future for a career, or was this about media and media design and communication skill sets too? I guess the question is sort of, how will the skills that you developed play into what you maybe want to do in the future?
That's a great question. I think it's a mix of both. I would say, I remember too when I was first learning this, like Mrs. Marks was like, "Oh, do you want to do web design in the future, like as a career?" I'm like, "Oh, I haven't thought about that," but because I know I do want to kind of go into like the healthcare field, so I guess it connects in that way. But I think these skills are really applicable to a lot of different areas of life, really, because just promoting a site, and also like designing, and just getting your ideas out there, and like really advertising what you are passionate about. I feel like you can apply that to really anything. So I think it's a mix of both of those.
When I think of what you're getting at, like at the root of there, is the leadership part of it, right? That all of us as individuals have passions and interests, but engaging with other people and finding ways to motivate other people and communicate with other people, that's the leadership part. And so when you were talking about like the leadership skills and talking about the things that gave you confidence outside of your comfort zone, going to these meetings, speaking about your work, presenting about your work, individually we can have skills and abilities, but if we can't influence other people with those skills, interests, and abilities, then we need to work on our leadership skills. And I feel like there was an intersection, and that's going to happen in a lot of these projects, of multiple areas of growth. There's the growth in health and wellness and the research that you did there, the growth in technical media, and there's the growth in leadership, right, that you're sort of developing through the entire project. Well, as I've been mentioning to the juniors that are presenting, next year as seniors, you enter the endorsement phase of mentorship. And one of the things that I'm super excited about as I watch these is I can't wait till we have juniors next year that you can mentor and you can provide some advice to. But I'm also selfishly looking to talk to you about some ideas that I have for some media tools around the NCGLS. So I'm going to be in touch with you about that. If you were going to be advising a junior right now, or I should say a sophomore right now, looking to start a junior venture project, do you have any advice or wisdom that you would sort of start with as what they should be thinking about as they start their projects?
Sure. I would say the biggest thing is really, don't try to do anything that you think other people want you to do. Do what you really are passionate about yourself, because this is going to be something that you will put a lot of time into, and you're going to want to actually like what you're doing. So like, I know for me, since this is something that I really care about with health and wellness, so it felt fun doing it. It didn't feel like extra work that I had to do on top of all the other junior year craziness that was going on. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is just really think about what you're passionate about, think about what you want to learn more about or try something new, and run with it. Don't try to think about what other people are going to say or what they'll think about you.
Angela, you were just like the perfect commercial for the Junior Venture Project. It is fun with accountability. It's your passion with a finish line, right? Amazing. I'm so proud of you and this website, which is fantastic. I hope you do continue it. Please let me know and everybody else know how we can continue to support you in this. And keep your eye out for opportunities for you to both mentor and also present. I've been saying that, this year we're presenting virtually. Next year, I hope that we're in person, and I'm going to ask interested seniors who are looking to present their work in a different forum to present potentially again. And if you've continued or maintained your project, to update us on how things are moving along. So please let us know how that's progressing. Anything else before we wrap up? All right. Well, Angela, thank you very much. I'm going to pause this recording and just take about 2 minutes of a screen break, and then we'll get started with our final junior venture presentation of the day. So thank you, everybody. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you.